spend the first section of your day and have a 1 p.m. cutoff, which is for just you and your deep.
Have you been doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
game changer.
Yeah. And I don't take any meetings now unless I finished my necessary deep block work.
Yeah.
I have no notifications on. Like it's no inbox. It's all pushed back,
dude.
And you just do your and.
It's therapeutic to my soul to hear that.
Yeah. And so Kevin's been saying it to me. He's like, Dan, like some of the things I've just been giving myself space to think in the morning. I'll just give myself space. And what we've been able to produce off the back of that has been like
game
some
changing.
of the biggest wins we've achieved.
Yes. So let's give a bit of color to that and sort of retouch on what we discussed there. And so similar to what we were just talking about, most founders and CEOs spend their days reactively. And so they go into the office, wherever their office might be, they open their laptop, and the first thing they do is they open their emails, and they kind of spend their day in their being dictated to by their email inbox. Your email inbox is a list of other people's to-do lists for you. And so if your days are being dictated to you by your emails, what you're saying is other people's priorities are more important than mine. And then if you spend the first half an hour in your inbox, generally what that does is it sets the whole day up to be reactive. And so it's emails, and then it's notifications, and as I said before, it's social media, and then it's staff interruptions. And our days are spent 100% reactively. And so this is why a lot of business owners are genuinely busy, and they genuinely feel busy every day, every week, every month, but then get to the end of the year and go, well, we didn't accomplish anything. Because all they were doing was reacting to the fires around them and essentially chasing dopamine because they wanted to feel needy and be busy and fulfill this kind of entrepreneurial ADHD that we all have. And so the number one, and usually the first domino that entrepreneurs need to implement, which is exactly what you've done, is allocate time to do deep, uninterrupted work every single day. And so for me, that's usually about 5 a.m. to about 10 or 11 a.m. What I encourage everybody to do is 2 hours a day, minimum 3 days a week, ideally 5 days a week, where it's time allocated in your calendar to work on the biggest problem or the biggest opportunity in your business right now. And during those 2 hours, if you don't need the phone's turned off. If you don't need Slack, you're logged out of Slack. If you don't need social to progress this project or task that you're working on, then you're not on social. And so you block out all the notifications. You block out fucking everything, which is so emotionally uncomfortable because then you've got to sit there and kind of wrestle with all of those emotions we spoke about before. You're going to feel inadequate. You're going to want to, it becomes hard and uncomfortable. So your mind is going to try and find ways for you to retreat out of it, which is usually pick up the phone, jump onto Instagram, whatever it might be. Sitting down and doing deep, uninterrupted work for 2 hours is really difficult to do, which is why nobody does it. But if you can train yourself to do it, which is what Daniel's done, it's an absolute game changer because now you've got 2 hours a day that's being spent on the most important thing. And often the most important thing is just learning. Why? Because the biggest constraint in your business is the biggest constraint because that's your area of greatest weakness. And so like, let's say for a lot of people, it's like, I just don't know how to run ads on Meta. It's like, okay, well then, if you've allocated your 2 hours, 3 days a week, the next 6 sessions, so 12 hours in total, they are just going to be spent watching courses and implementation programs or speaking to coaches about you deploying campaigns on Meta to get better at that particular skill. And it's going to feel uncomfortable as fuck. And you're going to look for distractions and notifications to go and chase dopamine. But if you can train yourself to not retreat and you can train yourself to really lean in and you spend 2 hours a day on the most important thing in your world, you will be in the top 0.01%.
So what happened? So Daniel's done it really well. And I've seen a big shift and change in lots of different aspects of business and life with Daniel. Now, I'll just bring it back to the real estate industry, but it's such a common thing for the like 5 a.m. club, get up, run, ice bath, sauna, blah, blah, blah. And then they get into work and they go, well, I can't do it during the day. I can't go to the gym and do all this stuff during the day because I've got client stuff.
So what I would do is I would get up, I would do my deep work. So I'd cut out the run, I'd cut out the ice bath, I'd cut out whatever else we're doing at 5 a.m. I would get my deep work done between 5 and 9 a.m. And then at 4 or 5 p.m. that afternoon, I'd go for a run, I'd go to an ice bath and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of what I do. My first half of my day, and again, my day usually starts at 5 a.m. First half of my day is deep, uninterrupted work. I then go and train for an hour or less at the gym. And then in the afternoon is when I do kind of what everybody else fills their days with. Meetings, emails, reviewing shit, all of that, the reactive stuff, the easy stuff. And so and that's the other thing with deep work is that it is challenging. You can sit in meetings and conduct meetings for probably 18 hours a day, but you won't be able to do deep work for 18 hours a day. It requires a different level of focus and a different level of energy. And therefore it kind of brings on a pretty deep fatigue. And so my kind of mental model around it is from when I wake up, my brain starts counting down because I know I've got a finite number of hours to do deep, uninterrupted, creative, developmental work. And once I've fatigued that out, which usually for me is around 2 or 3 p.m., I will be able to do reactive stuff for the rest of the day, meetings and emails and what most people do all day. But my developmental stuff, I won't be able to continue to do. And so that's what I would do for the real estate people that, are kind of in that instance that you spoke about. I'd replace the morning stuff with deep work, and then I do the exercise stuff later in the day once they're fatigued.
There's so much power in this. Like sometimes I'll just look at my whiteboard and I'll just sit and I don't analyze the roots, just pick the fruits, and I'll just get downloads of what I need to like. I'll be looking at an opportunity. Like, how am I going to crack this? How are we going to get this sponsor? How are we going to do this? And I'll just, and it's blows and it just bang.
Yes. Yeah. It's fucking, it's thinking.
Yeah.
It was Henry Ford that said thinking is the hardest thing to do, and that's why so few people do it. It's so much easier emotionally to jump in your emails, answer 50 emails, go and speak to 5 staff members that are all having problems, check social media. When you're in reactive mode, it's chasing dopamine, and it's so emotionally rewarding because it's all instant gratification stuff. Thinking and deep work, there's no instant gratification. In fact, the immediate reaction you get is uncomfortability because you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do. But if you can stick with it long enough, that's where the fruits are. And so, yeah, man. And so you've habitualized deep work and thinking. And to me, those are the top skills of any great entrepreneur.